This is crazy. So, I thought I was going out because, I thought it was going to be the last sunny day of the year. And then I started going out into the woods because I thought, hey, I can film out here. And it started snowing. It's insane. I mean, I love it. You gotta love snow, the inner child or whatever you want to call it. So today I want to talk a little bit about safety. I know it's a boring thing to talk about. I know everyone just want to build something cool and then be on their way, but I feel like we have to talk about safety. And I'm gonna try to not ramble too much, but we'll see what happens because I know I'm really good at rambling. It's gonna be sort of a rant, and if you're not into it, you can just skip this video. I would totally understand. But I feel like it's an important thing. I just hurt my hand a couple of days ago, and so I feel like this is a good time to talk about safety. Because I've seen a couple of videos where they talk about safety, and there are some things that I feel like they should say that they never say. And maybe it's because it's a given, but I feel like if something is always a given and no one ever actually says it, eventually it will not be a given. I don't know. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about these things. Okay? Cool. So, one thing about safety that I feel people are not really mentioning is that there are actually two categories of safety. One is what I would like to call passive, and one is active safety. Now, we're first going to talk about passive, because it's kind of easy, and everybody sort of understands this. And it's that, you should wear a dust mask. You should wear eye protection and ear protection. And it doesn't really matter if you're a good builder, craftsman, whatever. If you don't wear eye protection, you could hurt your eyes. If you don't wear ear protection, you're eventually gonna hurt your ears because of the years of wearing it down, basically. So, what is active safety? To me, that is more of a question about your active thinking. That's why I call it active. There's probably a better name for this that someone else has come up with that we could use instead. But anyway, it's more of the fact that, if you're using a bandsaw, you make sure your fingers aren't close to the blade or in the way of the blade or straight behind the piece of wood you're cutting so that you will cut into your fingers. Basically actively thinking of where do you put your hands or how do you lean your body weight into something if you're cutting something, or how do you not lean your body weight into something because, you're not supposed to do that. Or, like if you're pushing with a chisel into a piece of wood, if you miss the wood or something, where will the chisel skip off to? Is your hand in that place? Which, not to be like that, but that's the mistake I recently did, and that's why I'm wearing Band-Aid. Anyway, these things are very important. You have to think about okay, well, I'm gonna use a circular saw in this instant, let's say, and the way the blade moves is pulling itself up towards me because it's going backwards. It's not pulling me forwards. I mean, it's pulling it forwards, but around. You know what I mean. If you have a jigsaw. If you don't have a jigsaw, think about these things first. Anyway, you understand the mechanics, and therefore you can think about how the saw will react to what you're doing, and therefore you can think about how you're moving when using the saw. And that's safety. And that also has to do with knowledge. You have to be careful with what you're doing and how you're, basically in this case, cutting a piece of wood. Now, another thing you have to think about is what is this tool meant to do and how far can I bend these rules? For example, an angle grinder isn't really made to carve the neck of a guitar, but it's within how you can bend the rules so it can still be somewhat safe doing that. But I've seen videos where people are I have this amazing life hack thing, and I know I do life hacks, but I feel like I tell you when I'm doing something dangerous, or that could be dangerous. But anyway, I've seen some videos of people making videos where they're oh, I have this awesome life hacks, and they put a cheap homemade thing on an angle grinder and it becomes a chainsaw, and that's stupid. It's so ridiculously dangerous. And if you look at those videos, the people who are doing them usually have lost some fingers, and it's just like, yeah, you're going to lose some fingers if you put a chainsaw blade on an angle grinder. And I know this is maybe a little bit ranty, and maybe I'm saying something that a lot of people understand is stupid, but I feel like someone has to say this. Like, there are videos of people showing you how to do something, and they are not showing you how extremely dangerous it is, and they're not taking responsibility if you're hurting yourself on these things. So, I mean, it's not worth anything. You know, videos of people not taking responsibility is just garbage. You just don't watch those videos and report them, because, you know, it's dangerous. These crazy idea of people, you know, using a tool way out of what it's supposed to be used for. And that's what I mean. Like, yeah, you can take a tool and you can sort of use it as something that it's not really supposed, but there is like a fine line between madness and safety, I suppose you could call it. I don't know. And there are just some things, like, yeah, you can put an angle grinder isn't supposed to carve a guitar, but wood is easier to cut than metal. And it's also like still inside of the circle of the safety guard. It's still around, you know, the same limitations of what the tool can do. You still have to be careful, and you still have to understand how the tool works and how you're going to use the tool and what you're going to do if something goes wrong. Like, for example, I'm going to step away from the tool. I'm not going to pull it inwards, but I'm also not going to throw the tool away from me to protect myself, because that's also dangerous. You know, those things that you know. And I wouldn't tell anyone to use a tool that never used before in a weird way. Like, there are videos of people using a bandsaw blade as a way to like shape something and dragging it across the blade. And that's not really that dangerous to do, but it is if it's the first time you're using a bandsaw. So, I mean, don't do that if you've never done it before, and if you don't understand the mechanics and how the tool reacts to being used, basically. So I know this is a rant, and I know I'm ranting a lot, and I'm probably ranting too much, but that's basically what I want to like try to say. Like, there are some really amazing things you can do with tools that are sort of outside of their limits, but don't do it unless you really know the tool. And I'm not just talking about like I've used this tool a bunch of times. I'm talking about the mechanics of a tool and how it works. When I say mechanics, I don't just mean like electric tools. I mean like a chisel too. Like, you have to understand that if you put a bunch of force into a chisel and that force has nowhere to go, like into a piece of wood, you know, you can cut straight through your hand. I mean, look at me. And it's, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be as damaging, because like if you get your finger trapped in a circular saw, you're going to lose that finger. It's going to become like grounded up meat. It's basically, you're not going to be able to save that finger. It's going to just be chewed up. And yeah, sure, if you cut yourself on a chisel, you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to bleed, you're going to have to maybe get stitches, and, you know, but it won't be as bad. But it's still, you have to understand the reason why it's happening. And I know the reason why I hurt myself, and I'm going to tell you why. And this is sort of my third thing, because those two are things that I feel like are the things, but there is also a third thing that I wanted to tell you guys about, and it's safety in presence. And that's maybe a very easy thing, but it's basically, you have to understand where your mind is at when you're doing something. It's not just, oh, what am I using this tool for? How am I using it? What is going to happen if I do something weird with it? But also, like, where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where am I in my head? Like, am I focused on what I'm doing? Am I thinking about not thinking at all and just being in this moment, or am I somewhere else? And I hurt myself by not being in the moment and not thinking about what I was doing. I was carving away with a knife, making a little Santa Claus sculpture, and I was thinking about totally different things, random bullshit that had nothing to do with anything, and all of a sudden I was bleeding all over the place, and I didn't know what had happened. I mean, I realized that, oh, I was not focused on what I was doing. I wasn't in the moment. I wasn't thinking about what I was actually doing. I was thinking about bullshit things that are not necessary to think about right now. And I paid for it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I hurt myself, and now I'm not going to be able to play guitar for maybe 2 weeks or something. And that sucks. And I'm not going to be able to make videos to show you guys. I'm not going to be able to build anything. And I mean, you have to think about that too. Like, you know, if you hurt yourself, there's going to be a healing process, you know, and you're going to miss out on things. So that's basically what I'm saying. Like, that you think there are two categories, and there basically are two categories, but there is a sneaky one category extra that no one ever really talks about, and it's the fact that you have to be in the moment when you're doing something like carving a neck or something. And it's not necessarily just because you might ruin a piece of wood. I mean, that's sad, but I mean, like, wood is just a piece of wood, but you might actually hurt yourself. You have to think about that. Like, yeah, we're working with power tools and really, really sharp knives, and they cut through meat like it's butter. So, yeah, I know this is a very boring and very annoying video, and I'm probably not being very exciting about building things, and that's kind of what I want to be. But I feel like it's very important that you learn these things first. Like, you know, if you want to build guitars, that's awesome, and I really want to show you guys building stuff, and I really want to make videos where you guys learn a bunch of fun and awesome things that I think are super fun and awesome. But you're gonna hurt yourself. I mean, you are going to hurt yourself basically at some point. But make sure that when you hurt yourself, it's just a little nick and not losing a hand. Because, I mean, is it really worth it if you kill yourself over it? I don't know. But anyway, there's gonna be more fun videos later. Once I'm able to, you know, use my hands again. And we're gonna make some fun things. I have some fun things to show you guys that I have been working on, and we're gonna continue working on those things, and we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna be productive, and we're gonna be creative, and we're gonna talk about more positive things, and we're gonna move forward in life. So see you guys in the next video. Bye. Look, it stopped snowing, and now the sun is coming out.